Here, and give me a glass.
Oh, you don't get a glass. And only bona fide Americans drink at the bar.
I am American.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Coyote Woman, and this 2024 film was directed by Stefan Ruff and stars Larissa Dali, Cedric Jonathan, and Craig Nye, among others, of course. The story of this movie takes place in the Wild West, and they have, I guess, kind of two storylines going on. They have this gang that's going around trying to make money, and it turns out, in this state at least, that the government is paying people if they rescue people from the indigenous population. In this case, I think it's the Comanche. And then our competing storyline is about this white woman who is joined up with the Comanche and adapted to their lifestyle. So she kind of considers herself a Comanche warrior. And so really the gang is trying to track her down to get the reward. And of course, she's just fighting for what she thinks is right. What will happen? Well, for that, you gotta watch the movie and find out. All right, so let's discuss this film. Well, with this one, it was kind of brought to my attention, through Leo, but it had the tagline like a Tarantino-esque style Western movie. And so they have a lot of kind of emphasis on the talking and stuff. And generally, it's kind of a little bit fun that way. Certainly with some of the dialogue is pretty interesting, pretty kind of funny actually, whether that's intended or not. It comes across as comedic, whether that's intended or not, is how it kind of comes across. And so the dialogue, yeah, certainly the situations maybe even, have a little bit of fun to them. There certainly were scenes that I, really got into, other scenes not so much, but yeah, certainly some scenarios in this one that do work. Other than that, with this movie, it's directed by the same guy who directed Sex Terrorists on Wheels. I think it has a different name on Tubi. It's like Moto Psychopaths or something. I'm not totally sure, but Sex Terrorists on Wheels, you can imagine what that movie's like. And so going into this one, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've seen that other movie, but I did have an idea of what I was going to watch that way. And so it does have kind of similar kind of quirky elements to it. For example, with this one, all of the indigenous characters, they all have like a slit down their costumes, like they're all trying to, I guess, wear loincloths or something. But because of that, everyone's ass is hanging out. So there's a lot of ass cleavage and side ass in this one that I just kind of enjoyed, watching out for scenes where it's, the full body shots of these people just to see that ass cleavage. I don't know. I guess I'm weird that way. It's just one of those things where it's such an odd choice to put into this movie. Like, why would you have it that way? I guess it's kind of sexy or sex appeal in there. So, it is odd, but, you can certainly get through it. You can watch for these certain things. And I would say that that does help it. And I think that's a good place to kind of transition into what doesn't work. First of all, with the costumes, they are far too clean throughout this whole thing. Like, it's supposed to be the Wild West. They're supposed to be dirty, but they're all just very clean all the time. In addition, it looks like everything is like machine sewed. And so everything has a very nice seam on it. Everything has a double seam and it's very kind of well done. And then the materials look very modern materials and stuff like that. And so yeah, the costumes just doesn't fit for the vibe that it's wishing to get. Other than that, there are certainly some technical issues in this one. Certainly with the sound, I think was kind of one thing that very much stood out to you, especially as you're getting into the movie. With this one, the ADR is not very good in this one, so they're all recording their lines elsewhere. And only one person actually kind of seems good at the ADR experience. And so everyone else just has terrible ADR. And then also, like, I don't know how long, maybe for the first 15-20 minutes, there's no Foley sound. I think it's called Foley, where it's like just the background sounds. So like standing next to a river, but there's no river sounds. They're walking on stones, but there's no walking sounds. They do have, of course, gun shot sounds when they're firing their guns, but very little else of anything besides, guns. And so it just kind of adds that weird introduction, weird experience trying to get into it, where there should be more noise going on with these things, but there's just not. And it just kind of gives it this bizarre kind of uncanny valley kind of experience when you're watching it, where it's just like, yeah, there should be more sounds coming from this scene. Also, there is a lot of close-ups, and close-ups aren't, the worst thing in the world. It's just when they like cut off like the top and the bottom of a face where it becomes problematic. And that happens quite a few times, especially towards the beginning as well. And so that just kind of, I guess it's not dizzying or anything like that. It's just claustrophobic when you're just like on someone's face, not even seeing their chin, right? So that, I think, is one of those filming choices that I think I wouldn't have chosen, but is in there. Other than that, I think I said, it relies heavily on its dialogue. And because of that, it does have these like long scenes like all the time. And I think that is not necessarily boring. Like, I think the dialogue is somewhat interesting. I think, especially in that first scene, oh my gosh, that first scene just has terrible dialogue. I would say probably more in the second half, it has a little bit better dialogue. But again, you have to sit through that first half. And because the scenes are also so long, you are often, tempted to go for your phone. And so I think it's probably a better movie if you're just like doing something while you're watching it, whether that's, playing on your phone or folding laundry or whatever. It's a good kind of background movie that way, because the scenes are so long. You can just glance and then, start listening to whatever they're talking about. But if you're watching and doing something, I think that would probably make for a better experience. As for a recommendation, well, like I said, it's good if you're doing something else. So, put it on in the background. I think that's, appropriate way to watch it. This one is also on Tubi, so you can certainly press play on it over there. As for a rating, well, I'm going to give it the score of 3, and that's the score for meh. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.